everyone. This is Caroline with the Expat Interviews Thriving Abroad, where we go all over the world to bring you the most amazing and fascinating people that have left their home country and gone abroad to many different countries, and they're doing great things. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity. I feel blessed sometimes to have the opportunity to talk with them and have them share their really unique stories. And today I have a gentleman that is going to share a story with you that you're going to find super interesting. It's kind of a little bit different from what you're probably accustomed to hearing about, but he's going to tell you, and I'm sure you're going to love it. Thank you so much for joining me, Kofi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Carolyn. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. So let's get into, first of all, you're here in Mexico, just so you know, you're in the spot that everybody is thinking of moving to lately. Could you just tell us, like, really quickly, why Mexico? Why, you know, why all the hype? Why did you decide to move your family here? Because you're here with family.
Yes. So my wife and I, we decided to move here with our young baby girl. She is only 10 months old, right?
Oh, baby.
Yes. So we decided to pack up and come down here, really because we wanted to experience life outside the U.S., right? And be able to expose our child to an international world, you know, and let her see that there's so much more outside of the U.S. than only inside, right? And we have a goal for our family to be able to introduce other children to the outside world. So one of our things is to have a travel abroad program for inner city youth. And so that's one of the things that we're working on down the road. So that's what brought us here to Mexico. Mexico's our first stop. The reason why we chose Mexico is because we know that it is still kind of close to home. So if we needed to get back in touch with family, if family wanted to come visit us, they can hop on a quick flight and come down and visit us. And we also knew that, you know, the US dollar does stretch a little bit differently here in Mexico. We also appreciated the family aspect here. Family is really, like, we knew that family was going to be like a central thing here, but when we came here, we experienced it and how important family is and how everything is centered around family. That's something that we were looking forward to, and we're glad that Mexico did not fail us when it came to that.
I think that's especially important for families with children. We don't often get to hear a lot of talk about, you know, people with young children, and that's a big consideration, right? When you're moving, you know, anywhere, even if you're just moving across from state to state, you know, having a young child, there's a lot of prep that needs to go into it. And even though she's still young yet to oppose the move or understand probably why, but I feel like there is still a certain amount of prep that goes into, you know, having children or a child. So I appreciate the fact that you were smart enough to pick a place where, like you said, if things, you know, go bad, then you just hop, skip, you can walk back home, you know. It's not like you're stuck halfway across the world and you've got to figure out how to, you know, cross the river. So that's really cool. So you're in the Yucatan Peninsula. How has the transition been for you and your wife? How have you, do you speak Spanish?
I take Duolingo classes. So no, I don't speak Spanish. My Spanish is not very fluent, but I can get around, right? I can maneuver. And I found here, there's often someone else who does speak English nearby who would be excited to help. And although I'm trying my best to kind of show what I need, there's somebody else that's coming around and they're being very helpful and just being really helpful and allowing for me to be able to see what it is that's needed, and they'll be able to translate for me.
That's good. That really helpful. So a lot of people that are thinking about moving abroad, one of the biggest concerns, one of the top 3 things on their list is work. And that's a big consideration. How do I find work? Or if I am working currently, you know, if I move to, say, Mexico, you know, what can I do? And you have a very unique job that you do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I am a doula. I am a trained doula, a trained birth and postpartum doula. What I do is I focus on fathers and I focus on helping fathers prepare for their spouses, um, labor, pregnancy, birth, and also the postpartum. Unfortunately, many fathers are not much included in the conversation when it comes to preparation for this. And so I'm focusing on helping fathers learn the language when it comes to how to communicate with their pregnant spouse, what it is that they need, when they need, also knowing how to prepare for these stages and knowing, I'm sorry, I think they're doing some work nearby, but knowing how to
Welcome
provide.
to Mexico.
Yeah, this is always an
This is
ongoing
real
thing.
life, real time.
Yeah, real life, right? So, but also knowing how to provide comfort measures and also being able to generate an income when it comes to once their wife has given birth, to make sure that their wife is not going right back to work in the next couple of days. So being able to generate an income to compensate their wife not being at work.
Wow. So this is really interesting. And forgive me, but before, you and I met, I never even knew that such a service would exist, because we only hear about the women, it's all focused on the woman and her journey through the pregnancy. But, to have someone who, says, hey, the men are involved too, right? I mean, they're half of the family. This is really such an interesting and I think an amazing way to, to get more fathers involved. And, I'm sure that especially now, the single mother, thing is just so prevalent in our society. And I feel like if more men maybe had that type of knowledge, that
Absolutely.
it would make a big. Do you feel that men are intimidated by this natural process?
I would say I would say that traditionally men aren't thinking about birth, right? We're not thinking about preparing for the birth of our child. This is not something that we're thinking about. But traditionally, women, I would say, typically are, right? From childbearing ages, they're probably thinking about having a baby, right? What it's going to be like, what they want their perfect birth to look like, and their labor to look like, how they want the vibe to be in a room, if they want candles or certain lights in the room, if they want music playing, right? These are all things that a mother will be thinking about, right? Or a woman who's going to be a mother will be thinking about. A man's not really thinking about that, right? So naturally, the language will be different, right? And so since that language will be different, I am focused on bridging that gap between the two languages and bringing everybody onto the same table to understand, all right, look, this is what's going to be happening. This is what we should expect. This is what she's probably going to be going through right now. So when it comes to intimidation, I wouldn't necessarily say intimidated by, but I would say that there is a level of concern, frustration, even just a lack of confidence, right? When it comes to going into it, what is my duty? What am I supposed to be doing? I know I'm supposed to be doing something as a man here, but I don't know what my space is. I don't know what my role is. So I'm helping fathers find their role when it comes to birth.
And at what point of the journey do you begin your work?
I would begin my work as soon as a father tells me that they're expecting. Because there's going to be conversations that men are going to need to have. What's the budget?
Like the morning sickness and the
Yeah, so
irritability.
right, irritability, right, but also things like how to help with that, right? How to help with morning sickness, some basic recipes that a dad can cook up or that a dad can pour up, right? But also thinking about things like what's the budget going to look like? When should you tell your employer that you're going to need to have time for paternity leave? What's paternity leave look like for your state? So different conversations around that are specific to the provider in the household usually.
And those are things that really we never, think about as for the male, a role
Yeah.
in the pregnancy. This is such an interesting conversation. So yes, I think that from the very beginning, right, as being a mom twice myself, that whole, morning sickness and the cravings and the irritability and the just miserable feeling, it would be so nice to have someone, that understands it and
Yeah.
gets it, because it's not easy going through
Right.
this. So
Right.
and now what's interesting about what you being a doula is that you're able to do this counseling, these sessions online. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about how that works.
Virtually. So fathers come to me to figure out what it is that they need to do, and basically I will provide them with the step-by-step guides on how to prepare for these stages. And I'm also going to be their guide throughout the birth of their child into the first 12 months of their child's life. So after the child is born, I'm not just gonna be like, all right, man, you good, you got this. No, there's a lot that's gonna happen in those first 12 months after their child is born, And so just having somebody else, another man, another shoulder to talk to is definitely going to be helpful. There is a growing number of men who are suffering from postpartum depression as well. So having another man to talk about these signs and of what it looks like when you're experiencing postpartum depression as a man, because at the end of the day, you do have a large cup that needs to be filled if you're going to be pouring it into your family as well. So what it looks like is I will have a virtual call with fathers, depending on the different needs that they might have. If they want to learn about basics of investing so that they can have certain funds set aside to pull from later on, that's going to be a different package, right? But if they just want to have somebody to talk to every week, that's another package, So just catering it to the needs of the father and the family.
Wow, that is really interesting. I mean, you're bringing up things that seem so obvious, but we don't really think about that. I'm sure most people don't even think about, those basic things on the, from the man's perspective. Now, you work with both couples or men that are going to have home births, as well as those that are going to do in clinic as well.
Absolutely.
Is it the same dynamic?
Yes, yes. So really, the two are very similar until you get to the medication and the different medical procedures that will happen. But I am trained to work with families who want to have a home birth, birth at a birthing center, and even a birth in a hospital.
Okay, okay. And in your experience so far with the the families that you've helped, the men, do you feel that there is a big learning curve from a man as opposed to the woman? Do you feel like the men take a little bit longer to get it?
I think, like I said, I think the conversation is all in the language, right? If I want to talk about what is commonly referred to as Braxton Hicks, right? Braxton Hicks, a mother might know what this is, right?
Right.
But if I tell a father that, all right, these are basically warm-up contractions, right? And, these warm-up contractions can be likened to a car starting your engine, and you're going to start up your engine, but you're going to turn it on. You're not going to start off and just go rev it up, You're
Right.
going to start the engine, you're going to turn it on, and then you're going to let it warm up a little bit, because the engine has to get ready to give to get ready for that drive that you're about to have. So warm-up contractions would be similar to that, right? Warm-up contractions will basically be, just the warm-up, getting the body ready to give birth, right? So there's definitely a language that has to come with it, but being able to find out and speak on it from the perspective of another man, I think has been very helpful.
Yeah, I think this is so super awesome to know that, people like you exist, help like you exist out here. I think that it's very important for the family unit, because maybe you might agree with me that, a lot of the rifts, after pregnancy, after the birth, and, the separations and things like that come from a lack of, like you even said, I didn't even know that men suffer from postpartum depression. Like who knew that? We always just say, oh, it's the woman that goes through it. But that's interesting that you bring up that the men also have those unique feelings.
Yes, yes, and it's very it's all the language and the conversations that need to be held. Because if it's not known, many fathers just don't know, that they're experiencing this, and being able to name it when it's ahead of the time, and also being able to help. I know for me, my wife and I, we plan on having a home birth, right? And at first I was like, why you want a home birth? Like the doctor's going to take care of everything, But learning, after I've learned so much about what it was, the reasons why she wanted to have a home birth, and really the cases, right, when it comes to especially Black women in the United States who are giving birth and becoming our maternal mortality rate is so high, right? And we've heard countless stories of these, but unfortunately, the education is not there. Right. And so being able to have a father who's also informed and prepared to protect his wife, that's, you can't put a number on that, being able to have a father who's ready to provide that protection during those times and those stages, because he knows what to look for and what should be happening. That's where I find my joy in.
Yeah, of course. And now that you are officially an expat for the most part, do you think that you're going to have more insight for other couples that may want to give birth abroad? Is the dynamic
I think I'll definitely be learning. Yeah, I'll be learning about that, especially here and other spaces. I do know that I would say the United States has one of the highest maternal mortality rates, not to scare anyone, right? But it's just a fact, right? And I'm gonna name the facts. The United States is one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world, and that says something. So going out to another country, I know that I have heard of a number of families who do come to Mexico to birth their child. I have heard of that.
Yep. So, well, this is exciting, and I'd love folks that are interested, men, to reach out to you. How can we connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can reach out to me on Instagram at Hey Black Dad. You could also go to my website, which is www.heyblackdads.com. That's with an S, heyblackdads.com. You could also send me an email, right? And that's just heyblackdad@gmail.com.
That's simple. Hey, Black Dad.
Black Dad, that's me.
Oh, Kofi, I'm so excited that we had a chance to get a little touch of what you're doing in your expat space, and this really untapped knowledge about, the birth experience. And I'm going to post the link below so that people can have it handy to reach out to you. And I want to thank you. And I also am excited in the future to hear more about your journey abroad and what it's like for your family. Any plans for any more births in the future? Are we looking at?
Of course, we definitely have plans for many more births.
Wow, very nice, very nice, very nice. Well, thank you so much again. All the best to you and your little munchkin and the munchkins that are on the way that's soon to be here. And thank you for doing what you do. More importantly, thank you for being in this space and helping men, understand and be accountable and connect more with family, because this is something very, very important, and you're doing very important work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to, doing more and speaking more. And if any dad is looking to reach out, please feel free to.
All righty then. Thank you again.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.